All right, Little Women, Chapter 3. I had recorded this in class today, but somehow it didn't save. I don't know if I had too many recordings on there or what the deal is. So, I'm gonna try and do it this way as best I can, and then tomorrow we should hopefully get back to normal. Chapter 3, The Lawrence Boy. Joe, Joe, where are you? Cried Meg at the foot of the garret stairs. Here, answered a husky voice from above, and running upstairs, Meg found her sister eating apples and crying over the heir of Redcliffe on an old three-legged sofa by the sunny window. Okay. If you have your book in front of you, you notice that the heir of Redcliffe has a superscript, which means like a really tiny two on the top, because it's referring to the bottom of the page where it describes what it is. So the heir of Redcliffe is just a book that she's been reading. This was Jo's favorite refuge, and here she loved to retire with half a dozen russets and a nice book. As Meg appeared, Jo shook the tears off her cheeks and waited to hear the news. Only see! It's an invitation from Mrs. Gardiner for tomorrow night, cried Meg, waving the precious paper. She read it with girlish delight. Mrs. Gardiner would be happy to see Miss March and Miss Josephine at a little dance on New Year's Eve. Marmee is willing that we should go. Now, what are we going to wear? So, what is Meg so excited about? She's excited about the party she's been invited to. So Jo says, "Oh, what's the use of asking that? You know we shall wear one of our poplins because we haven't got anything else," answered Jo with her mouth full. Poplins is like just the kind of common cotton dresses that they would wear back then. Basically, they didn't have anything nicer than just a regular old cotton dress. They didn't have anything silk or fancy that they could wear to a fancy party, so they're going to wear their poplins. Oh, if I only had silk, sighed Meg. Our pops are nice enough for us. Yours is as good as new. Oh, but I forgot the burn and the tear in mine. Whatever shall I do? Burn shows badly, and I can't take any out. Oh, okay, I know. You must sit still all you can and keep your back out of sight. The front is all right. I shall have a new ribbon for my hair, and Marmee will lend me her little pearl pin, and my new slippers are lovely. Oh, and my gloves will do, though they aren't as nice as I'd like. Okay, so here's the thing. Jo's dress has a big burn mark in the back. So Meg says, well, I mean, that is the nicest thing you have to wear, so just wear it, but make sure you don't move all night long. Keep your back up against the wall so that no one sees the back of your dress. That's her solution. Oh, also, you have to understand that gloves back then were probably not the kind of gloves you're thinking of. They were a very um, fancy piece of the outfit. Basically, a woman was not properly dressed for an elegant party unless she had her pretty white gloves on. So Jo says, "Oh, mine are spoiled with lemonade, so I shall have to go without," said Jo, who never troubled herself much about dress. You must have gloves, or I won't go, cried Meg decidedly. Gloves are more important than anything else. You can't dance without them. Ugh, can't you just make them do? Meg pleaded. Well, I'll tell you how we can manage, Jo replied, lighting up with an idea. We'll each wear one of your good ones and carry one of my bad ones. Don't you see? Oh, but your hands are bigger than mine, and you'll stretch my glove dreadfully, began Meg, whose gloves were a tender point with her. Then I'll go without. I don't care what people say, cried Jo, taking up her book. Oh, fine, you can have it. Only don't stain it. And do behave nicely. Don't put your hands behind you or stare or use slang, will you? Okay, so here we see Meg is very concerned about being prim and proper and everything must be perfect. So she's kind of warning Jo, hey, you can't act like a hooligan at this party. You have to be proper. Oh, don't worry about me. I'll be as prim as I can and not get into any scrapes if I can help it. Now, go and answer your note and let me finish this splendid story. So Meg went away to accept with thanks and look over her dress while Jo finished her story and her four apples. On New Year's Eve, the two younger girls played dressing maids, and the two elder were absorbed in the all important business of getting ready for the party. There was a great deal of running up and down, laughing and talking. At one time, a strong smell of burned hair pervaded the house. Meg had wanted a few curls about her face, and Joe undertook to pinch the papered locks with a pair of hot tongs. Much to her dismay, however, Meg's pretty little ringlets came off with the papers, and the horrified hairdresser laid a row of little scorched bundles on the bureau before her victim. Poor Joe, she was trying to help Meg curl her hair, but back then they didn't have curling irons. Instead, they had hot rods, hot metal rods, basically, that they stuck in the fire to heat up. And unfortunately, it got too hot and burned Amy's hair, or Amy, and burned Meg's hair off. Oh, what have you done? I'm spoiled. I can't go. My hair, oh, my hair, wailed Meg, looking with despair at the uneven frizzle on her forehead. Oh, I'm so sorry, but the tongs were too hot, and so I made a mess, groaned poor Joe with tears of regret. I always spoil everything. It isn't spoiled. Just frizzle it and tie your ribbon so the ends come on your forehead a little bit. It will look like the latest fashion. I've seen many girls do it so, said Amy consolingly. Serves me right for trying to be fine. I wish I'd just left my hair alone, cried Meg. So do I. It was so smooth and pretty, but it will soon grow out again, said Beth, coming to kiss and comfort her sister. So poor Amy and Beth are trying to make it a little better. Don't worry, Meg, you don't look that bad. At last, Meg was finished, and by the united efforts of the entire family, Joe's hair was got up and her dress on. They looked very well in their simple suits. Meg's in silvery drab, with a blue velvet net for her hair, lace frills, and the pearl pin. Joe in maroon, with a stiff linen collar and a white chrysanthemum, which is a kind of flower, or two for her only ornament. Each put on one nice light glove and carried one soiled one, and all pronounced the effect quite easy and fine. Meg's high-heeled slippers were very tight and hurt her, though she would not own it. So basically it was like, no, they're not too tight. No, they're not too tight. They're not too tight. I can wear them. She was determined to wear her heels. She must have thought they were very cute. And Joe's 19 hairpins all seemed stuck straight into her head, which was not exactly comfortable. Have a good time, dearies, said Mrs. March as the sisters went daintily down the walk. Don't eat much supper, and come away at 11 when I send Hannah for you. As the gate clashed behind them, a voice cried from the window, Oh, girls, have you both got nice pocket handkerchiefs? Yes, of course we do, cried Joe, adding with a laugh as they went on. I do believe Marmee would ask if we were all running away from an earthquake. Evidently, Marmee is usually very concerned if they have their handkerchiefs or not. It's kind of like when your mom asks you if you have a jacket if you're going to go outside. Well, it is quite proper, for a real lady is always known by neat boots, gloves, and handkerchiefs, replied Meg. As they arrived at Mrs. Gardner's, Meg said, Okay, is my sash right? And does my hair look very bad? Oh, now don't forget to keep the bad breadth of your dress out of sight, Joe. Oh, I know I shall forget. If you see me doing anything wrong, just remind me with a little wink, will you? Returned Joe, giving her a collar twitch and her head a hasty brush. No, winking isn't ladylike. I'll lift my eyebrows if anything is wrong, and nod if you are all right. Now, hold your shoulders straight and take short steps. And don't shake hands if you are introduced to anyone. It isn't the thing. How do you learn all these proper ways? I never can. Oh, isn't that music gay? Okay, so here she's basically saying, isn't that music happy or entertaining? Doesn't it sound fun? In they went, feeling a trifle timid, for they seldom went to parties. Mrs. Gardner, a stately old lady, greeted them kindly and handed them over to her daughter Sally. Meg knew Sally and was at her ease very soon, but Joe, who didn't care much for girls or girlish gossip, just stood about, with her back carefully against the wall, and felt as much out of place as a colt in a flower garden. Half a dozen lads were talking about skates in another part of the room, and Joe longed to go and join them, for skating was one of the joys of her life. She telegraphed her wish to Meg, so kind of like across the room saying, Yo, Meg, can I go talk to those guys? But Meg's eyebrows went up so alarmingly that she dared not even stir. Meg was asked to dance at once, and the tight slippers tripped about so briskly that none would have guessed the pain their wearers suffered smilingly. Jo saw a big red-headed youth approaching her corner, and fearing he meant to ask her to dance, she slipped into a curtained recess, intending to watch and enjoy herself in peace. Basically, she slipped behind a curtain to try and hide from this guy who looked like he was going to ask her to dance. Unfortunately, there was another bashful person that had chosen the same refuge, for as the curtain fell behind her, she found herself face to face with the Lawrence boy. So as she slipped behind the curtain to hide, she found out that Lori, the Lawrence boy who lived next door, had had the same thought. So here they were, both hiding behind the curtain. Oh, dear me, I didn't know anyone was even here, stammered Jo, preparing to back out just as speedily as she had bounced in. But the boy laughed and said pleasantly, though he looked a little startled, Don't mind me. You can stay if you like. Well, shan't I disturb you? Not a bit. I only came here because I don't know many people, and I felt rather strange at first, you know. So did I. Oh, don't go away, please. I mean, unless you'd rather. Boy sat down again and looked at his shoes, till Jo said, trying to be polite, I think I've had the pleasure of seeing you before. You live near us, don't you? Next door. And he laughed outright, for Jo's prim and proper manner was rather funny when he remembered how they had chatted about cricket when he had brought the cattle. That put Jo at her ease, and she laughed too, as she said in her heartiest way, We did have such a good time over your nice Christmas present. Oh, Grandpa sent it. Yeah, but you put it into his head, didn't you now? How is your cat, Miss March? Asked the boy, trying to look sober while his black eyes shone with fun. Okay, so quick question. Why does he change the subject so abruptly? Well, it's because he is the one that's responsible for giving Mr. Lawrence the idea to buy the girls the nice feast for Christmas. But he's humble enough to not take the credit for it. So instead of lying and saying, no, it wasn't my idea, and instead of answering and saying, yeah, it was, that would mean he would take credit for it. Instead, he tries to change the subject. Nicely, thank you, Mr. Lawrence. But I am not Miss March. I'm only Jo, returned the young lady. And I am not Mr. Lawrence. I'm only Lori. Lori Lawrence? What an odd name. Well, my first name is Theodore, but I don't like it, for the fellows called me Dora, so I made them say Lori instead. Ugh, I hate my name too. So sentimental. I wish everyone would say Jo instead of Josephine. How did you make the boys stop calling you Dora? Hmm, I thrashed him, which basically means he smacked him around. Oh, well, I can't thrash Aunt March, so I suppose I shall have to bear it. And Jo resigned herself with a sigh. Don't you like to dance, Miss Jo? Asked Laurie. Well, I like it well enough if there's plenty of room and everyone is lively. Ugh, in a place like this, I'm sure to upset something or tread on people's toes. Don't you dance? Oh, sometimes. This is Laurie again. Sometimes. I've been abroad a good many years and haven't been into company enough yet to know how you do things here. So, by being abroad, he means he studied school basically in different countries. Abroad? Cried Jo. Oh, tell me about it. I love dearly to hear people describe their travels. Laurie didn't seem to know where to begin, but Jo's eager questions soon set him going. He told her how he had been at school in Vevey and spent last winter in Paris. Ooh, can you talk French? Oui, mademoiselle. Quel nom est de jeune demoiselle in les pantoufles jolies? I made that up. I don't speak French, but I'm assuming that's how it would sound. So then Jo says, Oh, how nicely you do it. Let me see. You said, Who is the young lady in the pretty slippers? Didn't you? Oui, mademoiselle, which means yes. Oh, that's my sister Margaret. And you knew it was her. Do you think she's pretty? Well, yes, she looks so fresh and quiet and dances like a lady. Now, this is not Lori saying, "Ooh, she's pretty." It's really more him saying, "Yeah, she's a nice girl." Joe glowed with pleasure at this boyish praise of her sister and started up to repeat it to Meg. Both watched the dancers and criticized and chatted till they felt like old acquaintances. Joe liked the Lawrence boy better than ever and took several good looks at him so that she might describe him to the girls, for boys were almost unknown creatures to them. Now, it's important to note that Joe is not taking note of him because she likes him and thinks he's cute and stuff. She's just saying, "Oh, he's a nice guy. We should be friends with him." And she's going to come home and tell her sisters about what a nice guy he is. Curly black hair, brown skin, big black eyes, handsome nose, fine teeth, small hands and feet, taller than I am, very polite, well, for a boy, and altogether jolly. I wonder how old he is. It was on the tip of Joe's tongue to ask, but she checked herself in time, because remember, it's kind of rude to ask someone their age, and with unusual tact, she tried to find out in a roundabout way. So instead of asking him right out, "How old are you?" which can be kind of rude sometimes, instead she's going to ask other questions that will kind of help her figure it out. "I suppose you're going to college soon. I see you pegging away at your books. No, I mean, studying hard." And Joe blushed at the dreadful pegging which had escaped her, which basically meant that she was so pegging is like a slang term, basically. And so she was ashamed she had used slang words. Lori smiled, but didn't seem shocked, and answered with a shrug. Not for a year or two when I'm 17. Oh, aren't you but 15 then? Asked Joe, looking at the tall lad whom she had imagined 17 already. 16, next month. Oh, how I wish I was going to college. But you don't look as if you liked it. I hate it. Well, what do you like? To live in Italy and to enjoy myself in my own way? Joe wanted very much to ask what his own way was, but his black brows looked rather threatening as he knit them, so she changed the subject by saying, "That's a splendid polka song. Why don't you go and try it?" "If you will come too," he answered with a gallant little bow. Oh, I can't, for I told Meg that I wouldn't because there Joe stopped and looked undecided whether to tell or to laugh. So says Lori, because what? You won't tell? Never. Well, I have a bad trick of standing before the fire, and so I burned my frocks, or her dresses, and I accidentally scorched this one. Meg told me to keep still so no one would see it. You can laugh if you want to. It's funny, I know. But Lori didn't laugh. He only looked down a minute and then said very gently, "Never mind that. I'll tell you how we can manage. There's a long hall out there, and we can dance grandly, and no one will see us. Please, come." Joe thanked him and gladly went, wishing she had two neat gloves when she saw the nice, pearl-colored ones her partner wore. The hall was empty, and so they had a grand polka, for Lori danced well and taught her the German step, which delighted Joe, being full of swing and spring. When the music stopped, they sat down on the stairs to get their breath, and Lori was in the midst of an account of a students' festival at Heidelberg when all of a sudden Meg appeared in search of her sister. She beckoned, and Joe reluctantly followed her into a side room, where she found her on a sofa, holding her foot and looking pale. "Ah, that's stupid high heel turned, and I've sprained my ankle. Oh, it aches so bad I can hardly stand. I don't know how I'm ever going to get home," she said, rocking to and fro in the pain. "I knew you'd hurt your feet with those silly shoes. I'm sorry, but I don't see what you can do except get a carriage or just stay here all night," answered Joe, softly rubbing the poor ankle as she spoke. Okay, so this is what Meg gets for wearing shoes that were too small. She kind of rolled her ankle a little bit dancing in them. So now she has two choices. The girls walked to the party because it wasn't far from their house. So she can't really walk home if she's sprained her ankle. She can't afford to get a carriage. That would be like paying for a taxi service, kind of similar to what we would do today. But she also can't stay at the house either. So she's not sure what to do. So Meg says, "Ugh, I can't have a carriage without it costing ever so much. I dare say I can't even get one at all, for most people come in their own carriage, and it's a long way to the stable, and there's no one to send." "Well, I'll go." That was Joe. And Meg says, "No, indeed. It's past 9 and dark as coal. I can't stop here, for the house is full. Sally already has some girls staying with her. I'll just rest until Hannah comes and then just do the best I can." "I'll ask Laurie. He will go," said Joe, looking at relieved as the idea occurred to her. "Oh, mercy, no. Don't you dare ask or tell anyone. Just get me my rubbers," which is another pair of shoes she brought, "and put these slippers with our things. I can't dance any more, but as soon as supper is over, watch for Hannah and tell me the minute she comes." "Okay, but they're going out to supper now. I'll stay with you. I mean, I'd rather." "No, no, no, dear. Run along. Oh, and bring me some coffee. I'm so tired I can't stir." So Meg reclined, with rubbers well hidden, and Joe went blundering away to the dining room, which she finally found after going into a china closet, and then opening the door of a room where old Mr. Gardner was taking a little private refreshment. So after trying to find the china room, going into a closet, and then running into the old man of the house who was just kind of chilling in his room by himself, and she kind of was like, "Oh, sorry, wrong room." She finally made it to where she was trying to go. I mean, she's just kind of a mess. Making a dart at the table, she secured the coffee, which she immediately spilled, thereby making the front of her dress as bad as the back. "Ugh, oh dear, what a blunderbuss I am," exclaimed Joe, finishing Meg's glove by scrubbing her gown with it. Oh, that's Meg's nice glove that she now got coffee all over. "Can I help you?" said a friendly voice. And there was Laurie, with a full cup in one hand and a plate of ice in the other. "Oh, I was trying to get something for Meg, who is very tired, and someone shook me, and here I am in a nice state," answered Joe, glancing dismally from the stained skirt to the coffee-colored glove. "Too bad. I was looking for someone to give this to. May I take it to your sister?" "Oh, thank you. I'll show you where she is. I won't offer to take it myself, for I should only spill it if I did." Laurie drew up a little table and waited on both girls so obligingly that even particular Picky Meg pronounced him a nice boy. They had a merry time and were in the midst of a quiet game when Hannah appeared. Meg forgot her foot and rose so quickly that she was forced to catch hold of Joe with an exclamation of pain. "Ah, shh! Don't say anything," she whispered, adding aloud, "It's nothing. I turned my foot a little, that's all," and limped upstairs to put her things on. Laurie, who saw the state Meg was in, offered his grandfather's carriage, which had just come for him. "But it's so early. You can't mean to be leaving just yet. To go yet," began Joe, looking relieved, but hesitating to accept the offer. "No, I always go early. I do, truly. Please, let me take you home. It's on my way, you know, and they say it may rain." Well, that settled it. Telling him of Meg's mishap, Joe gratefully accepted and rushed up to bring down the rest of the party. Hannah hated rain as much as a cat does, so she made no trouble, and they rolled away in the luxurious carriage, feeling very festive and elegant. When they were at home, they said good night with many thanks and crept in, hoping to disturb no one. But the instant their door creaked, two little nightcaps bobbed up, and two sleepy but eager voices cried, "Tell us about the party! Tell about the party!" Okay, who are these two little people that are still up? Beth and Amy. Meg talked happily of what a good time she had and how Sally's friend, Annie Moffat, had asked her to come and spend a week with her when Sally goes in the spring. And Joe told all about Lori. Joe had saved some bonbons, like some little cupcake sort of things, for the little girls, and after hearing the most thrilling events of the evening, they soon headed off to bed. I declare, it really seems like being a fine young lady to come home from the party in a carriage and sit in my dressing gown with a maid to wait on me, said Meg, as Joe bound up her foot and brushed her hair. I don't believe even fine young ladies enjoy themselves a bit more than we do, even in spite of our burned hair, old gowns, one glove apiece, and tight slippers. And I think Joe was quite right.